When the cameras began to roll and the lights went down, the world abruptly saw something none had anticipated. Jim Jones, the renowned rapper known for his unwavering self-assurance and flamboyant demeanor, broke down live on television. The Jim Jones we were all accustomed to wasn't this one. The polished, self-assured performer who always seemed invincible on stage was gone, but tonight showed a whole new side of him. His face turned pale, and he started to cry as the camera zoomed in, his eyes filled with tears. He said, "I'm struggling," in a cracked voice that was almost audible, and the studio fell into a startled quiet. The tension was so great that it was felt through the screen. The revelation stunned fans, and everyone was caught off guard by what transpired next. His longtime companion, Chrissy Lampkin, responded in a way that was unexpected. Is this the moment when their romance ends? Every moment was filmed by cameras. The family is split up. Fans are in disbelief, and the same question is being asked by everyone. What caused Jim Jones to reach this degree of emotional collapse? What's next for the power duo that was once unstoppable? There is no doubt that the drama is only beginning. The tension in the room grew nearly intolerable as everything happened. Normally calm, Jim Jones sat in the middle of the stage tonight, but he was clearly shaken. His typically dominant demeanor was now colored with vulnerability. Even though the cameras were rolling, it felt quite different how they caught him tonight. His signature smirk, which he wore like armor, was gone. The self-assured swagger was gone. Rather, Jim had a tight stance. His visage was hazy with emotion, and his manner was nervous. This was a person who was disintegrating in front of us, minute by minute. It was evident that Jim hadn't been the man we had seen ascend through the industry with unwavering purpose. No one expected how the interview would proceed. Jim fidgeted in his seat, anxiously rubbing his hands together as the show's host, a well-known figure in the entertainment industry, tried to gently ease him into the conversation beneath the flickering studio lights. Anticipation was in the air. The audience held its breath as he looked straight ahead in silence. Until he finally spoke, the tension was nearly intolerable. I didn't want to hear his voice, which was hardly more than a whisper. "Admit it, but I'm having trouble." Sharp and exposed, the words lingered in the air. His face twisted with passion, and his jaw tightened as though he were physically holding himself together. The weight of what he had just admitted appeared to have startled and stunned him. In both his personal journey and his music, this man had always faced life's challenges head-on. Now he was exposing himself in a way that no one had ever seen before. There was a collective gasp in the Jim Jones studio, because he publicly acknowledged that he was struggling with something very personal, something strong enough to shake him at his core, and because of his iron resolve and no-nonsense demeanor. However, was it the crushing pressures of celebrity or the constant scrutiny of the public spotlight that he was facing? Or did something more overwhelming and emotionally painful lie beneath the surface? Sitting next to him, Chrissy Lynn moved uneasily. She continued to stare at Jim, but it was obvious that she was unsure of what to anticipate. Had she understood what he was struggling with all along, their typical lighthearted dynamic would have been absent. She knew he was going to open up like this. There was no denying the tension between them. Tonight, their relationship felt strange, brittle, and burdened with unsaid realities that could explode. Jim's hands trembled in his lap as he spoke more candidly. "I've gone through a lot," he said, "and people assume I've got it all figured out, that I'm doing well. I may appear to be holding the entire globe." Jim went on slowly, his words weighing heavily on meaning. But the reality is that it has been more difficult than anyone could have ever imagined. Every line he spoke had a purposeful cadence, as if it took effort to say, "I'm not okay. It's been a long time since I was okay." Understanding the seriousness of the situation, the host leaned in to gently help Jim navigate this emotional landscape. "What's been going on?" "Jim, you have consistently been a strong role model. Why now?" the host asked in a low voice, allowing the truth to surface naturally and without coercion. As the weight of all he had stored inside threatened to overwhelm him, Jim let out a quick exhale, his chest rising and falling. He looked around the room, trying to find the appropriate words. It was almost impossible to watch the emotional intensity. His voice cracked, raw with honesty, as he added, "I've been battling my own struggles. I've been pretending like everything's fine, but it's not. I've been dealing with anxiety and depression, and I kept telling myself that it's just part of the hustle, part of the game." Chrissy, who had been quiet up until this point, moved in her chair and fixed Jim with her eyes. Her mouth opened slightly as though she wanted to interject, but she was hesitant. Her worried expression was captured on camera. Disbelief and empathy. She put a gentle hand on his arm without uttering a word. It was a silent but effective gesture that showed that she was there for him despite her astonishment. Even though their relationship had always seemed strong, she was obviously struck by Jim's extreme vulnerability. She immediately brushed away the tears that welled up in her eyes in an attempt to keep herself composed. Chrissy had always been the sensible, grounded person, but she was unable to speak at that particular moment. Jim said with a tremor in his voice as he described how his every aspect of his life has been impacted by mental health issues. "But it's not just me," he said, pausing to briefly meet Chrissy's eyes before returning his attention to the camera. "Everyone around me feels it. It follows me everywhere like a shadow." Despite having been there through it all, Chrissy has also been caught in the crossfire. Chrissy glanced at Jim, a worried expression on her face, and nodded gently. She let one tear fall down her cheek. It was obvious that she was feeling conflicted about whether to support the man she loved or deal with the emotional fallout from what he had just said. It seemed as though time had stopped. The studio was filled with emotion as the crowd sat in startled silence. As the discussion progressed, it became evident that Jim's struggles extended well beyond his mental health. He felt lost and alone as a result of the demands of his work, the industry's never-ending grind, and the weight of his followers' expectations. He had gradually lost his sense of direction due to the stress. He said, "I thought I could handle it all," in a voice that was almost audible above a whisper. However, it's a lot. It can be excessive at times. And up until now, I wasn't sure who I could actually turn to. The cameras cut to Chrissy for a moment, and her face spoke for itself. The sorrow of witnessing someone she loves in such agony, coupled with shock and grief. Even though she was aware of his difficulties, watching him reveal everything on live TV gave the truth a new level of seriousness. How will their relationship be affected by this? Was this the moment they both feared, but never really acknowledged? Could they overcome it together, stronger than the storm? Recognizing the emotional burden in the room, the host made a gentle effort to lighten the atmosphere by urging everyone to prioritize their mental health and seek therapy, saying that doing so was a brave and strong move. "I've tried to keep it all together, acting like everything was fine, but it's not, and I can't keep pretending anymore," Jim replied wearily. He became silent, his eyes set downward, lost in thought. With her hand remaining on Jim's arm and her eyes full of love, worry, and doubt, the camera lingered on Chrissy. For Jim and all of them, it was a moment of reckoning because he had unleashed long-suppressed emotions, and there was no going back now.